The spaceship was quiet that night. Only the soft hum of the engines moved through the halls, steady and low, like the sound of a giant heart beating in the distance. Most of the crew were asleep. The long journey between the stars gave them many nights where nothing much happened. But tonight was not one of those nights. She walked slowly through the corridors, her bare feet touching the cold metal floor. Her skin glowed faint blue under the dim lights, the natural shimmer of her kind. She should not have been there. She was not a member of the crew. She was a passenger, kept under watch, given a place far away from the humans' private quarters. Yet here she was, wandering in the dark like a ghost. Her breathing was unsteady. Every shadow made her heart race. The silence felt heavy, almost too heavy, as if something might break it at any moment. She had escaped her assigned chamber. She had run when fear closed in on her chest. The small room they gave her was cold, lonely, and it carried the scent of walls that never changed. She couldn't breathe there anymore. She needed warmth, safety, and something told her she would not find it in the place given to her. Turning a corner, she pushed open a door without thinking. The soft hiss of the lock breaking open was the only sound she heard. She slipped inside. The air was warmer here. The glow from the hexagonal windows was softer, more golden than blue. And in the middle of the room was a bed. Her eyes widened. It was large, soft, covered in golden sheets that seemed to call her closer. She had seen human beds before, but only from a distance. Her kind slept differently, but this looked like a safe place. Her legs moved on their own. She touched. The sheets felt the warmth, and her body gave up its fight against exhaustion. Before she could even question what she was doing, she slid beneath the blanket. Her heart slowed. Her breath grew softer. For the first time in days, her mind stopped racing. She closed her eyes, her blue skin glowing faintly in the shadows. The fear that followed her through the halls began to fade. She did not think about who the bed belonged to. She did not think about what would happen if someone found her here. For now, all she felt was safety, and she held on to it. The door hissed again. The human stepped in. His shoulders were broad, his steps steady, his breath calm after a long day. He expected his room to be empty, quiet, the same as always. But the moment his eyes turned to the bed, he froze. There was someone there. For a second, he thought his mind was playing tricks. But then he saw the glow. Her skin, her hair spread across the pillow, her body resting under his sheets as if she belonged there. His chest tightened. She was not supposed to be here. He knew her, one of the passengers rescued from a distant world, a species not often trusted by humans. He had seen her once, eyes wide with fear, when she was first brought aboard, but he never thought she would end up in his private quarters. He stepped closer, quietly. His hand hovered near the control panel in case he needed to call security. Yet, something stopped him. She was not dangerous. She was not even awake. She looked small, fragile, almost human in the way she curled under the blanket. He studied her face. The sharp lines of her alien features softened in sleep. She looked peaceful, but there was something else too. Something sad, as if sleep was the only escape she had. For a long moment he just stood there, torn between waking her and letting her rest. His heart argued with his mind. Logic told him this was wrong, but instinct told him to wait. She stirred. Her eyes opened, slowly glowing faintly in the dim light. For a second, confusion filled her face, then fear. She sat up quickly, clutching the blanket to her chest, her breath short and sharp. The human raised a hand, calm but firm. "It's all right," he said in a low voice. "You're safe, but why are you in my bed?" Her lips parted. Words did not come easily. She looked away, her body tense as if ready to run. But the warmth of the sheets still wrapped around her. She did not want to leave. Not yet. Finally, she whispered, her voice trembling. I didn't mean to. I thought this room was empty." The human's eyes narrowed. He didn't believe her, not completely. But there was something in her voice, something desperate, something real. She wasn't lying to him, not fully. She lowered her gaze, holding the blanket tighter. It felt safe, she added, softer this time, almost like a confession. Safer than anywhere else. The silence stretched between them. The hum of the ship filled the room once again, steady, unbroken. He should have ordered her out. He should have called the captain. But he didn't. He only watched her, the strange alien who had slipped into his world by mistake. And though he didn't say it out loud, part of him already knew. This was no accident. This was the beginning of something he did not yet understand. The low room was still. Neither of them spoke for a long time. The alien girl clutched the blanket tighter as if the soft fabric could shield her from judgment. The human stood near the doorway, his tall frame half in shadow, his eyes fixed on her with a mix of confusion and caution. He had seen many things on his missions: strange planets, hostile species, endless dangers in the void. But this was different. This was personal. Someone was in his bed. Someone who should not have been here. Her breathing was quick, uneven. She looked ready to run, but she didn't move. Instead, she kept her gaze lowered, her glowing skin betraying every emotion: fear, shame, exhaustion. Finally, he spoke again, his voice low but steady. "You didn't answer my question. Why here? Why my bed?" She swallowed, her lips parting, but no words came. Her hands trembled around the edge of the blanket. She wanted to speak, but every sound caught in her throat. The human took one step forward, not too close, just enough for her to know he wasn't leaving. His eyes softened, slightly, though his tone remained firm. "You know this is a private cabin. You know you're not allowed here, so why?" Her eyes flicked up just for a moment, and in that moment, he saw something raw in them. Not rebellion, not boldness, but desperation. "I was afraid," she whispered. The human frowned. "Afraid of what?" She shook her head quickly. "I don't know. The dark, the silence, the walls closing in. My room." She paused, struggling. "It feels wrong. Cold. I couldn't stay there, not tonight." He studied her carefully. The fear in her voice wasn't fake. He had heard lies before, but this wasn't one. Still, it didn't explain why she had come here, to his cabin, to his bed. "And you thought this was better?" he asked quietly. Her eyes closed for a moment. "Yes. The moment I touched this bed, I felt safe." His chest tightened at her words. It was strange to hear an alien speak of safety in something so simple, something human. Beds were ordinary to him, but to her, it was a lifeline. He rubbed the back of his neck, thinking. He should report this. He should escort her back to her assigned room, but his instincts held him in place. Something told him this was not just about fear of the dark. Something deeper was hidden behind her trembling voice. The silence pressed in again, broken only by the hum of the engines. She shifted nervously, pulling the blanket higher around her shoulders. "Do you want me to leave?" she asked, her voice small like a child expecting punishment. The question hit him harder than he expected. Did he want her to leave? His first thought was yes. This was his space, his one place of peace on the long journey. But another thought followed, quieter but stronger. If she left, she would go back to that cold, empty chamber, and something in him couldn't accept that image. "No," he said at last. "Not yet." Her eyes widened. Surprise flickered across her face, mixed with relief. She hadn't expected mercy. Not here. Not from him. He pulled a chair from the corner and sat down, still keeping some distance. His eyes never left her. "You can stay. For now. But I need answers. Why does my bed feel safe to you?" She hesitated. Her fingers clutched the sheets like they were the only solid thing in the universe. Then she spoke, her voice quiet but clear. "Because humans are different. You carry warmth with you. It lingers in your space. It lingers in your bed. I felt it when I walked in. Like someone strong was watching over me, like I could finally close my eyes." The human's jaw tightened, No one had ever described him that way before. Warmth, safety. He was a soldier, a protector, but never a haven. Her words left a strange echo in his mind. He wasn't sure he liked it, but he couldn't ignore it either. Minutes passed. Neither moved much, yet the space between them shifted. The fear in her shoulders eased just slightly. The suspicion in his gaze softened, though not completely. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "If you stay here again, it won't be by mistake. You'll have to tell me the truth." Olive. Her lips parted, but she didn't answer right away. Instead, she lowered her gaze, hiding behind the blanket once more. "I'll tell you," she said finally, "but not tonight." The human leaned back in his chair, eyes fixed on her glowing form curled up in his bed. He didn't trust her, not fully. But he also didn't send her away. Something about her presence felt strange. Dangerous, yes, but also right. The engines hummed. The stars drifted silently outside the windows. And in that small cabin, two strangers sat on opposite sides of a fragile line. She closed her eyes again, slower this time, no longer fighting sleep. The human kept watch, silent, guarded, but unable to look away. And as the night stretched on, both of them knew this accident was only the beginning. Morning never truly came on the ship. There were no sunrises, no golden skies, only the endless hum of machines and the glow of artificial lights that shifted from dim night mode to bright day mode. For most of the crew, that was enough. But for her, the alien girl who had slipped into the wrong bed, it was another reminder that she was far from home. When she woke, the human was still there. He sat in his chair, shoulders squared, eyes steady, as if he had been guarding her all night. She blinked, startled. She had expected him to leave or to call security while she slept, but he hadn't moved. "You stayed," she whispered. He nodded slowly. "And you're still here." His voice carried no anger, only quiet curiosity. She sat up, the blanket slipping from her shoulders. Her glowing skin shimmered faintly under the cabin light. Her hands twisted nervously in her lap. She looked young then, lost, fragile, like someone carrying more than she could bear. He leaned forward. "You promised me answers. Why do you fear your own room? What's chasing you?" Her lips parted, but she hesitated. Her throat tightened as if the words themselves were dangerous. She looked away, eyes fixed on the window where stars drifted silently past. "It's not the room," she said finally. "It's me." The human frowned. "Explain." She drew a shaky breath. "My kind. We feel things differently. We sense memories in places. Pain leaves shadows. Fear lingers in the walls. The room they gave me." She closed her eyes, trembling. "It's full of echoes. Cold, sharp, endless. I couldn't sleep there. The memories pressed in too close." The human's chest tightened. He had heard rumors about her species, but never from one of them directly. They carried sensitivity like a curse, feeling what others left behind. A room that had once been a prison or a sickbay would be unbearable to her. "So why my cabin?" he asked, voice softer now. Her eyes flicked to his, glowing faintly with some strange light. "Because yours felt different. Safe, warm, as if no fear could survive here." I stepped inside and all the shadows went quiet. For the first time since I was taken from my world, I could breathe. The human sat back, silent. Her words echoed in his mind. He hadn't thought of his cabin as anything special. It was just a room. But maybe the life he lived, the battles he fought, the strength he carried, maybe those things left behind a different kind of shadow. Not fear, not pain, but safety. He didn't say that out loud. Instead, he studied her carefully. She wasn't lying. He could see it in the way her hands trembled, in the way her voice cracked. But there was still something she wasn't telling him. "You're hiding more," he said firmly. Her breath caught. She froze, staring at him with wide, glowing eyes. For a long moment she didn't speak. Then slowly she pulled the blanket tighter around herself like armor. "Yes," she admitted at last. Her voice was barely a whisper. "But if I tell you, you won't let me stay." The human's jaw tightened. "Try me." The silence that followed was heavy, pressing, like the deep vacuum outside the ship. She looked down, her hair falling. Across her face, her glow dimming slightly as if her very body betrayed her fear. "My people," she began slowly, "are not welcome in most human fleets. You know this. They say we can't be trusted, that we see too much, that we carry secrets where no one can find them." She swallowed hard. "And sometimes they are right." The human leaned forward. "Are you dangerous?" Her eyes flashed up to his, sharp, almost offended. "No, not to you, not to anyone here." She paused, voice breaking. "But others might come for me. They already tried. That's why I ran. That's why I couldn't stay in that room. Every shadow reminded me they could find me again." The human's chest tightened. He wanted to demand more. Who was after her? Why she had been taken? What she was hiding? But he saw the raw edge of fear in her face. She wasn't ready to give him everything yet, so instead he asked something simpler. "And my bed? Why keep returning here?" Her voice softened, trembling but honest. "Because when I lay here, it feels like the universe can't reach me, like the danger can't find me. As if..." She hesitated, then finished with a whisper. "As if you are stronger than all the shadows." The human said nothing. But inside something shifted. He was used to being seen as a fighter, a soldier, a weapon, not as someone who gave safety. Yet here she was, clinging to the belief that his presence alone could shield her from the universe. It unsettled him, but it also stirred something deeper, something he didn't want to name yet. He rose from his chair and stepped closer. She flinched at first, but he only pulled the blanket higher around her shoulders, covering her more fully. "Sleep," he said simply. "You need it. We'll talk again tomorrow." Her eyes widened, but she nodded slowly, sinking back into the bed. For the first time, her body relaxed without tension. She trusted him, completely, perhaps foolishly. The human turned away, standing by the window. His reflection stared back at him, hard and thoughtful. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing. This was no longer just an accident. Days passed, but the memory of that night never left either of them. She had promised answers, but each time he looked into her glowing eyes, he saw walls of silence. He did not push too hard. Instead, he watched her, learned her movements, her pauses, the way she always drifted near his cabin when night came. The crew noticed too. Whispers moved through the ship like shadows. Why is she always near him? What's going on between the human and the alien? He ignored them. She pretended not to hear. But deep down, both of them knew the whispers were not completely wrong. Something was happening, something unspoken. One evening, he returned to his cabin and found her already, waiting. She stood by the window, staring at the endless stars, her hands folded nervously in front of her. "You're early," he said, closing the door behind him. She turned, startled. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't be here before you." He raised a hand to stop her. "It's fine. I just wasn't expecting it." Her shoulders relaxed a little, but her glow dimmed faintly, a sign of embarrassment. She turned back toward the stars. "I tried sleeping in my own room again. I couldn't." The shadows came back. "And here?" he asked quietly. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Here. I feel safe. I don't hear them when I'm here." He studied her carefully. It was strange, almost unbelievable that she trusted him so much, but the proof was right in front of him. Each time she returned, the fear in her body lessened. Each time she laid in his bed, the tightness in her voice faded. Later that night, when she curled under the blanket again, He stayed nearby. He sat in the chair as before, but this time he leaned closer. "You should know," he said softly. "Safety is not always permanent. I can't promise you the shadows won't find us. This ship is not beyond danger." Her eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly in the dark. "I know. But you are here. And when you are here, I don't care about danger." Her words struck him harder than he expected. It wasn't blind trust, it was something deeper. She had chosen him without even realizing it. The bond grew slowly. Small moments, easy silences. She began to speak more, telling him fragments of her past, a broken world, a family lost, people scattered. He never pressed for the full truth, but every piece she gave him tied her closer to his heart. One night, she laughed softly at something he said. It was a small sound, quiet and fragile, but it lit the room more than any lamp could. He found himself smiling back, realizing how rare it was to hear joy from her. The whispers among the crew grew louder. Some didn't like it. "She's dangerous. He's letting his guard down." But the human ignored them. He had fought wars, faced enemies, and survived battles no one else dared enter. If she was truly a threat, he would have known. Instead, he felt the opposite. Her presence made him sharper, more alive. The turning point came when alarms blared across the ship one night. A sudden warning, unknown signals approaching from the void. The crew rushed to stations, tension filling the air. In the chaos she ran, but not away, not to hide. She ran straight to his cabin. When he entered moments later, weapon ready, he found her already curled on his bed, shaking but waiting for him. Her eyes found his, wide with fear. "They're coming," she whispered. "I feel them." His chest tightened. He didn't ask how she knew. He believed her. Without hesitation, he moved to her side. He sat on the edge of the bed, his hand steady on her shoulder. "Then you'll stay here, with me. They won't take you. Not while I'm breathing." Her body trembled under his touch, but her breathing slowed. She looked at him as if those words alone built a shield around her. That night, as the ship prepared for battle, something shifted completely. She no longer saw his bed as an accident. She saw it as a choice. A place that belonged to her, not because she stole it, but because he let her keep it. And for him, what began as a duty became something else. He realized that when she was near, his cabin no longer felt like just another room in a steel ship. It felt alive. It felt like a home. The bond between them was no longer fragile, it was becoming unbreakable. The alarm still echoed through the halls, a sharp warning that danger was closing in. Red lights pulsed across the corridors, and voices shouted orders through the intercom. The crew prepared for a fight. But inside his cabin, there was only silence. Silence broken by the hum of the engines and the rapid beating of two hearts. She sat on the bed, clutching the blanket like a lifeline. Her glowing skin flickered faintly, betraying her fear. He stood at the window, weapon ready, eyes scanning the darkness of space. He didn't know what was out there. Not yet. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty. They were coming for her. She broke the silence first. "You should hand me over," she whispered. "If they want me, it's safer for the crew." He turned sharply, anger flashing in his eyes. "No, don't say that again." Her lips parted, but he didn't let her finish. He stepped closer, his voice firm but steady. "You came into my bed by mistake, but now you're here because you chose to be, and I chose to let you stay. That makes this my fight as much as yours." Her breath caught. For a moment she could only stare at him, the weight of his words sinking deep. No one had ever claimed her like that before. Not as a burden, not as a prisoner, but as someone worth protecting. Tears shimmered in her glowing eyes. She lowered her head, whispering, "I don't deserve this." He crouched down in front of her, his hand steady as he lifted her chin gently. His voice softened, but every word carried strength. "Everyone deserves a place they feel safe. You found yours here, and no one will take it from you." Outside the cabin, the ship shuddered as something massive struck the shields. The crew shouted through the comms, their voices full of urgency. The threat was real, pressing closer every second. She trembled. "They've found me. I can feel them." He nodded grimly. "Then let them come. They'll find more than they expect." For the first time, she didn't argue. She leaned closer, her forehead brushing against his shoulder. In that moment, fear gave way to something stronger. Trust. Complete, unshakable trust. The battle began. Explosions shook the ship. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed louder. Yet even in the chaos, his cabin felt different. It wasn't just steel walls anymore. It was a sanctuary, built not from metal, but from the bond they had forged. He stayed by her side as the ship rocked, his presence steady as stone. Every time the walls shook, she clung to him, not the blanket. Every time the alarms blared, she buried her face against his chest, and each time, he held her tighter. The crew fought hard. Hours passed like minutes. At last, the enemy signals retreated, vanishing back into the endless dark. The alarms faded. The ship's hum returned to normal. The danger was gone. But in his cabin, the silence that followed was heavier than before. Relief washed through them both, but neither moved right away. She was still pressed against him, breathing slowly, her glow calm at last. "You see?" he whispered. "They couldn't take you." Her eyes lifted to meet his. "Not because of me. Because of you." He shook his head. "Because of us." The words lingered in the air. Neither spoke for a long time. Then slowly she smiled, a real smile this time, soft but full of light. "When I first came here," she said, her voice quiet, "I thought it was a mistake. I thought I had invaded your world." "You did," he said with a faint smile of his own. "But some mistakes are worth keeping." Her cheeks warmed, her glow brighter than before. She lowered her gaze, whispering the truth she had carried since that first night. "This is the only place I feel safe. Your bed, your room. With you." His chest tightened, but he didn't look away. He reached out, brushing a strand of her hair behind her ear. "Then stay. No more running, no more fear. Stay here, with me." Her eyes widened, shimmering with unshed tears. She searched his face, as if to make sure he meant it, and when she found no doubt in his eyes, her shoulders finally relaxed. "Yes," she whispered. "I'll stay." The ship outside carried on its endless journey through the stars. Battles would come again, shadows would return, but inside that cabin something stronger had been born. The alien girl who once slipped into the wrong bed now knew it wasn't wrong at all. It was destiny, a place that was hers, a place where she belonged. And as the human lay beside her that night, their breaths steady, their fears quiet at last, one truth became clear. The universe was vast, cold, and full of danger. But for her, there would always be one safe place, the human's bed.